In the heart of Lower Manhattan, two skyscrapers once defined the horizon. Today, the most powerful structures on that same ground are not towers. They are two enormous holes in the city. Water falls down their walls, disappears into smaller squares, and seems to have no visible bottom. Around them, New York moves at full speed. Inside them, absence never stops. This is Ground Zero, rebuilt not by covering the wound, but by designing an entire district around it. The question was never only how to construct new buildings. It was how to build above a place that millions believe should never be treated like ordinary real estate again. Should the Twin Towers return exactly as they had been? Should nothing rise at all? Should memory occupy the ground, while commerce moved upward around it? For years, every line drawn on this 16-acre site carried the weight of grief, politics, engineering, security, money, and national identity. What emerged was not a simple replacement. It became one of the most complicated acts of urban reconstruction in modern history. And at its center, New York chose to preserve two absences larger than almost any room ever built. To understand why, we have to return to the landscape that existed before the emptiness. The original World Trade Center was a 16-acre superblock containing 7 buildings, a vast plaza, and an underground network of shops and transportation links. Its centerpieces were the North and South Towers, 110 stories each, immense aluminum-clad rectangles that appeared almost abstract against the sky. They were conceived during an era when New York wanted Lower Manhattan to compete with the new corporate districts rising elsewhere. Building them required excavating down to bedrock beside the Hudson River, where water pressed constantly against the edge of the site. Engineers created a reinforced underground perimeter known as the Slurry Wall, an immense barrier designed to hold back the river while the foundations were built. Above that hidden wall, the towers rose floor by floor until they became the tallest buildings in the world when they opened in the early 1970s. For nearly 3 decades, they served as offices, observation decks, restaurants, navigation points, and symbols visible from far beyond the city. Then, on September 11, 2001, the meaning of the site changed forever. The attacks destroyed the World Trade Center complex and killed nearly 3,000 people in New York, at the Pentagon, and near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Where the towers had stood, there was now a vast field of twisted steel, shattered concrete, smoke, and unstable underground ruins. Beneath the debris were damaged train lines, utility corridors, foundations, and the enormous subterranean bathtub built decades earlier. The site became a rescue operation, then a recovery operation, and finally an enormous engineering project that continued day and night. For 9 months, crews removed more than 1 million tons of material while searching, documenting, stabilizing, and preparing the ground for an uncertain future. The final ceremonial piece of steel removed from the site became known as the last column, covered with messages, memorials, photographs, and the markings of recovery teams. When it left Ground Zero in May 2002, the recovery phase ended. The argument over what should come next was only beginning. The land belonged to the Port Authority. Commercial leases, transit systems, public agencies, city streets, grieving families, and national expectations all converged on the same footprint. Some wanted the towers rebuilt exactly as they had been, a declaration that destruction could not dictate the skyline. Others believed rebuilding directly on the footprints would erase the physical evidence of loss. Still others argued that Lower Manhattan needed offices, transit, shops, streets, and public life, not only a permanent field of mourning. The first redevelopment proposals were criticized for feeling too commercial and too disconnected from the scale of what had happened. Public meetings drew thousands of voices. Every proposal seemed to expose a different idea of what the site was supposed to become. In 2003, a master plan led by architect Daniel Libeskind was selected. It placed memory at the center and new towers around the edges. Libeskind imagined the exposed slurry wall and bedrock as the emotional foundation of the site, a place where visitors would descend to the level from which the towers had risen. His plan also proposed a new tower reaching a symbolic height of 1,776 feet, linking the rebuilt skyline to the year of American independence. But the master plan was not a finished building. Over the next years, architects, engineers, agencies, developers, and security experts repeatedly changed its forms. The memorial itself would be chosen through a separate international competition, one of the largest design competitions ever held. When the competition closed, it had received 5,201 submissions from 63 countries. The challenge was nearly impossible: honor every life, preserve the tower footprints, allow access, create beauty, withstand New York weather, and coexist with a functioning city. The winning concept came from architect Michael Arad and landscape architect Peter Walker. They called it reflecting absence. Instead of filling the footprints, the design lowered them into the ground. Instead of reconstructing the towers, it made their exact locations impossible to ignore. Each pool is nearly an acre in size. Water descends roughly 30 feet before disappearing into a smaller central void. The effect is deliberate. The water is always moving, but the empty center can never be filled. Around the pools, bronze parapets carry the names of those killed in the 2001 attacks and the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. The names are not arranged alphabetically. They follow what designers called meaningful adjacencies, relationships requested by families, co-workers, rescue units, and shared journeys. This turned the memorial from a list into a map of human connections. The plaza above was designed as a living canopy of swamp white oak trees, changing with the seasons while the footprints remained constant. Among them stands the survivor tree, a Callery pear recovered from the debris, nursed back to health, and returned to the site. Its damaged trunk and new growth repeat the central idea of the entire site: survival without pretending that damage never occurred. Constructing the memorial required far more than shaping two pools. Beneath the plaza, engineers were building a museum inside the physical remains of the original complex. Visitors enter through a glass pavilion that holds two enormous steel tridents, surviving sections of the Twin Towers' exterior columns. From there, the route descends gradually below the city, leaving daylight behind. The descent parallels the survivor stairs, a remnant of the VC Street staircase used by hundreds of people escaping the site. The museum's core exhibitions occupy spaces within the original North and South Tower footprints. At bedrock level, visitors encounter column bases, foundation remnants, and the scale of the excavation that once supported the towers. Foundation Hall opens beside a monumental section of the slurry wall, the same barrier built in the 1960s to hold back the Hudson River. The wall was damaged during the collapse, but it did not fail. Had it breached, river water could have flooded the underground site and surrounding infrastructure. Inside the museum, that utilitarian concrete barrier became a symbol of endurance, an object never intended to be seen, now preserved as architecture. Nearby stands the last column, 36 feet high, still covered with the marks and memorials placed on it during the recovery. These artifacts were so large that parts of the museum had to be constructed around them. Above this underground world, the memorial pools required powerful pumps, drainage systems, heating, filtration, and constant maintenance to keep the water moving through every season. The plaza itself had to carry trees, soil, visitors, security systems, ventilation shafts, and the weight of public memory, while trains continued moving below. At the same time, the new skyline was rising. The first completed replacement building was 7 World Trade Center, opened in 2006 just north of the main site. The main tower evolved through years of redesign, especially as security requirements changed the base, structure, access, and surrounding streets. Daniel Libeskind remained the master planner, but the tower itself was designed by David Childs of Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill. Its square base rises and transforms into 8 glass facets, narrowing and rotating visually before returning to a square at the roof. With its spire, the building reaches 1,776 feet, a symbolic number inherited from the master plan. But its meaning is different from the Twin Towers. It does not stand on either original footprint. The tallest new building was deliberately moved aside, allowing the footprints to remain open to the sky. One World Trade Center opened in 2014, the same year the 9/11 Memorial Museum opened to the public. Around it, for World Trade Center, 3 World Trade Center, and the rebuilt transportation network gradually restored density and movement to the district. The Oculus, designed by Santiago Calatrava, opened as a transportation hub in 2016, its white ribs spreading across the site like a vast skeletal wing. Below it, path trains, subways, shops, and passageways reconnect streets and neighborhoods once severed by the old superblock. The new plan restored portions of Greenwich and Fulton streets through the site, making the campus part of the city grid again. This was a subtle but important reversal. The original complex had been a monumental island. The rebuilt district was designed to be crossed, entered, and lived around. Yet the site is not frozen. New buildings, security needs, transit repairs, cultural spaces, and public debates have continued long after the first tower opened. In 2026, plans advanced for a new American Express headquarters at 2 World Trade Center, showing that the reconstruction was still moving toward its final commercial chapter. That long timeline reveals something often missed. Ground Zero was never one project. It was a memorial, museum, transit hub, office district, public park, security zone, and archaeological site built simultaneously. Its architecture had to support ordinary life without allowing ordinary life to erase extraordinary loss. That is why the rebuilt site feels unlike any other cluster of skyscrapers. The tallest object draws the eye upward. The most important objects pull it down. One World Trade Center speaks in height, glass, light, and distance. The memorial speaks in depth, stone, names, sound, and touch. The museum preserves what survived below. The skyline announces what returned above. Between them is the central contradiction of rebuilding after catastrophe. A city must move forward, but memory must resist being pushed aside. New York did not rebuild the Twin Towers. It rebuilt the streets, transit, offices, and skyline around the exact places where they had stood. The result is not a replica of the past, and not a clean break from it. It is an architecture of coexistence, solid towers beside empty foundations, public life beside private grief, movement beside stillness. The 2 pools are often described as memorials to what was lost, but they also control everything that was built afterward. They determine where towers cannot stand, where visitors slow down, where water is heard, and where the sky remains permanently open. In a city famous for filling every available space, Ground Zero is defined by what New York chose never to fill. That may be the most radical part of the reconstruction. The new skyline proves that the city continued. The museum proves that the original ground still matters. And the 2 empty footprints prove that rebuilding does not always mean replacement. Sometimes the strongest structure is the space a city decides to protect. At Ground Zero, New York rose again, but it rose around the absence.